margin for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once you get the support, your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, viewers. Rather, my name is Body Badibo. Welcome to Thursday edition of Inside Nigeria. This Thursday morning, January 13, 2022. And of course, today I have a big catch in the house. Our guest analyst today is Atekojo Samson Usman, lawyer, journalist, and public affairs analyst based here in Abuja. Good morning, Mr. Usman.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Body.
Yeah, it's nice we're having you for the first time today on Inside Nigeria. Here at the Leadership Television. All right, viewers, as usual, we dissect this leading story of some national daily and as well have discussion on trending story of the day. And without much ado, we start with the newspaper review, starting with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership. On the front page of Leadership this morning, ISWAP attacks on the rise. Governor Zulum cries out. ISWAP attacks on the rise. Borno State Governor Zulum cries out, says two local governments still under terrorist control. Government killed 18 people in Plateau village, 8,372 killed, 5,018 abducted in 2021, according to a report. Bandits kidnapped more traders in Kaduna, while President Muhammadu Buhari reiterates commitment to end banditry. Well, Mr. Usman, we don't know which one to actually believe. Now, a governor is coming to say terrorist attacks is on the rise in Borno State. And in fact, ISWAP is more sophisticated and more, equipped than the Boko Haram that we used to battle with. Now we have ISWAP. And this is in contrast with what the president said a few days ago during a television interview, that no Nigerian territory is under terrorist control. And even somewhere in northwestern states, we have where bandits are even imposing levies on villagers before they allow them to go to their farms. Which one do we believe?
Mr. Abode, thank you for having me on this platform.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you see, it's very unfortunate that in the last 6 years that this government took over the country. They've not been able to solve this problem because when people was in power and there was this crisis here and there, the country was under pressure, and it was that pressure that really made Nigerians to vote for this party, the APC. APC was voted into power primarily to solve insecurity and challenges in the country. But it's very unfortunate. And see, the ISWAP attacks on the rise that the governor is talking about. See, thank God for the Governor Zulum of Borno State.
Yeah.
If not for the doggedness of the man and his level of commitment, I tell you by now, Borno itself or Maiduguri, capital of Borno State, would have been overrun by this ISWAP, because the ISWAP, as you see, are more sophisticated, like I said, more trained and equipped. They were those sects that overran Boko Haram.
Yeah.
So the moment they overran Boko Haram, we could expect that
they assess their own leadership
and authority. And that's exactly what they mean. But we expect, I'm not a security expert, but at least naturally one can, bring out something. You see, as that was happening, we expected the security system to up their game, to understand the dynamics of ISWAP, their mode of operation, and what they are up to, so they'll be able to curtail them at that time. But now that they have exerted their authority, and they are out for carnage, they are out for destruction, they are out to wreak havoc.
Yeah.
And it's very important that if you look at the report, in 2021 alone, about 8,372 were killed. There are 5,080,000 were abducted. If you combine these two casualties, it's enough to make a country.
About 13,000.
Yes. anyway,
A community.
or a community,
Yes.
so to speak.
So
But these
the
are the,
community has been, either abducted or killed.
exactly. But these are the ones that are captured. What of the unreported casualties? So that's the problem we're having. So we are not yet there. And it is surprising that these people, they don't have budget, annual budget.
And they are executing the work.
And they're executing the work perfectly.
How come?
Yes, how come? Then we have budgetary provisions. Yesterday, you had the Senate President say about 1 trillion was budgeted for security agencies.
In 2022, yeah, that they will have more money now to work.
We have more money now. But at the end of the day,
It's about money.
is it about money? It's not really about money. And let me quickly put this thing before maybe we'll go to other things. You see, this is about interest. If you remove interest and replace it with patriotism, we're going to get it right. Because among the security agents that are tackling these people, there are surreptitious interests. It is the surreptitious interest that betrays the effort. So if we can look towards and be able to tackle the surreptitious interest,
Identify the bad eggs.
the bad eggs, I am telling you, this is unbelievable. How many are they? How many are we? What do they have? What do we have? Sometimes they may even have the sophisticated people, like we're saying, who may not have the training. Good. So I think God will help us. So it's very unfortunate. But I must commend the Governor Zulu for what he's doing there. If not for his commitment, his doggedness, how he is going about it, I think the narrative would have been a sad one by now.
All right. God forbid. I thank God we are still doing the right thing, at least to keep the terrorists away from us. All right. Let's go to our sister publication, the National Economy. On the front page of the National Economy this morning, we have 3 trillion naira trade deficit may spark further naira devaluation in 2022. 3 trillion naira trade deficit may spark further naira devaluation in 2022. Nigeria must reduce importation, improve non-oil exports, according to Nasima. Well, I know you are not an economist, but as a journalist and a public professor, and I know you know these day-to-day economy, elementary economy. You understand? Now, 3 trillion naira trade deficit. That's too big.
Yeah.
And this definitely will have pressure on our foreign exchange and foreign reserve.
Yeah.
And people are saying diversify the economy. Let's promote more exportation to earn more money. Well, it has always been, a motion without movement. This government, when it came, it said, "Oh, we diversify the economy," but nothing concrete is being done.
You see, if you look at this amount, that's 3 trillion trade deficit is part for that. If we are to put it in prosper perspective, and to be able to analyze our macroeconomics and microeconomics, you discover that it's even more than this. Yeah. Now, as we speak, the economy is so down that the country is not producing anything, and the country is not exporting anything. We did the elementary
importing.
Yeah, we did the elementary economics where we're in
Secondary school.
Yeah, where what they call a comparative economic advantage.
Exactly.
Now we are not exporting anything. For us to sit down and negotiate that, as we are bringing our products to your country, then you are bringing yours. In doing that, we strike the balance.
Exactly.
So we are not just doing that. We don't have that.
Except crude oil.
Yeah, except crude oil. Are you getting me? And again, this massive importation, everything is imported, including toothpicks. So that's why the Nigerian economy is under pressure. Our naira is losing value day by day. Before
It's dependent on the dollar.
That's it. Okay, the International Monetary Fund also, or IMF, and other international communities will ask us to devalue our own naira. And in devaluing it, our foreign reserve is depleting.
Exactly.
That's it. So, in the issue of diversification that we are, you see, the diversification has become a political language now. Any political party that want to fight its way into governance will say, okay, we will do this, we will diversify the economy into agriculture, we will diversify the economy into oil and but today we are still existing on a monolithic economy.
Exactly.
And it is only crude oil that is sustaining us.
The economy.
Are you getting me? And this
And
crude
the
oil,
moment anything happened to the crude oil price at the international
we are
market,
finished.
we are shivering.
Yeah, we are shivering. and other countries are discovering their crude oil, and also some of the vehicles that
shale oil and the rest
are
of them.
being
Electric.
electric and other things now. So what I'm talking about. And unfortunately, our monetary policy and our the kind of policy that will help us to diversify into other areas are not effective. They are not effective. They are laced with personal interest. For instance, I give you a typical example. Now, if I should sit down now and analyze our agricultural policy in the last 6 years, have we gotten it right? Whatever that is even rolled out, before you know it, the elite will go hijack it. You don't formulate a policy, an agricultural policy, and don't tailor it to those who are actually on the farm or who are actually to full-time agriculture.
Exactly.
Don't sit down the comfort of your office and become an armchair farmer.
Exactly.
Then and apply to the CBN, and the money will now go into your account. From there, you pull out the money and go into politics.
Oh, marry more wives.
That's it. That's it. Okay, if you go to now, you come from a village or you come from a community where there is a farmer, go and ask a farmer whether he even know anything about the government policy on and how much he has access. That's it. Yes, that's it. I want to talk about. See, until we focus our mindset or change our mindset, it's okay. Any policy that comes, it should be allowed to run full money for the category that is needed. Don't you think that we have what it takes for us to sustain African continent agriculturally? We have our environment, our soil, and other things is fit for anything. You can grow anything. And unfortunately, it has not positioned itself in leadership and to ensure that every other African countries are accountable to us. That's not what we've done. We have not done it. So it's not doing it. So I won't be surprised when I see this year trade deficit may spark further naira devaluation. Without people, you don't need any other prophet to tell you.
It's elementary.
Yeah, that's it.
And one thing that people talking in the last few years is when the president also appointed out of the 8 years tenure.
17 months to the end of the
16 months to the end, in order of appointing
economic
advisor. That's
economic advisor that's supposed to relate with the central bank and to be able to analyze the economy and see what it can do to lead the economy out of wagner. He's just been appointed 17 months to the end of the tenure. What are we talking?
Having spent about 7 years in office.
Yes.
So probably it might be safe to say the government actually lack a proper understanding.
That's exactly.
Of the economy.
Yeah, exactly. We have taken our economic policy for granted. That's what it means. And it's very frustrating. Any government that comes to power, immediately you roll out your policies, you roll out your focus, you roll out your priorities, one of which is your economic advisor. An expert that will make sure that the economy is run and run well. It just been appointed.
And also there seems to be lack of synergy between fiscal policies and monetary policies. Everybody's on his own.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tekojo. We need to go on a short break. When we come back, the discussion will continue. Don't go away.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. It's still Inside Nigeria for this Thursday morning, January 13, 2022. And of course, I have in the studio Adekojo Samson Usman, a journalist, lawyer, and public affairs analyst based here in Abuja, who has been helping us to dissect these stories on some of the national dailies this morning. All right, let's go to the top newspaper on our menu this morning, Nigerian Tribune. On the front page of Nigerian Tribune this morning, after 7 months, federal government lifts Twitter suspension. After 7 months, federal government lifts Twitter suspension. Mr. Tekoju, after many back and forth, just yesterday, the federal government announced the lifting of the suspension on Twitter operation in Nigeria. How did you feel?
Yeah, I think, notwithstanding the controversy and the rubber when it was first suspended, I think on this, the federal government has done well from my perspective. And I'm saying this thing because if you look at the building blocks of the agreement that they went into before lifting the suspension, and it's a record, they have about 6 points agreement.
Having an office in Nigeria,
Exactly.
paying tax,
Yeah.
and also, but there is one thing of importance, or that should be of concern to all of us.
Yeah.
Twitter also expressed commitment to now make sure that it censors public conversation on the microblogging
Be
platform.
censored.
So, what does that mean for freedom of expression?
Yeah, I think there shouldn't be any cause for alarm on that. Because that's what they call terms of operations.
Okay.
And so Twitter will now have to roll out the terms.
Okay.
So whoever that is subscribing to it will be mindful of those terms. So when those ones are breached, then Twitter can delete. And when they delete, there are not people. That is what it means. Yeah. So it is to moderate the way people converse.
Okay.
And I don't see anything bad about that.
All right,
but we should be able to look at the advantage that is inherent in this agreement. It then means that by the time they have their office, there will be employment,
yes,
they will be generating the revenue and paying tax.
to Nigeria.
Because for
So that gain.
for quite some times now, they have taken Nigeria for granted because of our loose system. And once it is registered with the Computer Affairs Commission, it comes under the Companies and Life Matters Act.
Yes, 2020.
Yeah. It's amended.
Yes.
Amended.
Yes, how much was it?
Then from there, they are being subjected to the control. The CAC can, supervise and monitor what they are doing there and also the case, and subject them to corporate social responsibility and that is. So I think it's a good one. But the only thing was that the manner at which they were clamped down was suspicious. That raised so many crises, and a lot of people made a storm out of the teacup.
Yeah, whether the government had a plan to shrinking
Exactly.
civic space.
Yeah, exactly. And again, they would have done what they are doing now, even without shutting them down. And that's
But that's the very
so I think it's a
silent
good one.
point.
Yeah.
So this is possible without actually, going the hog of shutting them down and portraying Nigeria like a pariah state
That's it, exactly.
among the community of nations.
Exactly. And the citizens felt that the government did that because they didn't want they want to silence them.
Yes, there are also people who believe this is not about Nigeria, it's about the personality of President Buhari. Because it was when the Twitter deleted President Buhari's tweet that all this started. I remember when former President Donald Trump, US was there, he also had some kind of altercation with Twitter.
Yeah.
But it was Twitter versus Trump, never Twitter versus the US government.
Yeah, that's it. That is it.
And I agree with what you said that this ban was unnecessary.
Yeah.
We can achieve this without
Exactly.
banning them.
Exactly.
All right, wonderful analysis there from Mr. Tekoju. Well, let's go to the last newspaper on our menu this morning, the Daily Sun. On the front page of Daily Sun this morning, the 2023 presidency, pressure mounts on Shibaju to join race. 2023 presidency, pressure mounts on Vice President Yemi Osinbajo to join race. CPC, AMPP blocks tighten grip on party, that is the APC. The defunct CPC and AMPC blocks are tightening grip on ruling APC. Mr. Tekoju, is there also pressure on you to join the 2023 presidential race?
No.
Everybody is wanting to ask me not to tell president. I want to contest. Even me, I'm trying to fix appointment at Asolo anytime next week to go and tell the president I want to contest as an independent candidate?
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. As we approach to so many things will unfold. The pressure on the Osibajo actually is an interest issue. There are groups that are interested in that. Okay. But there's one thing I want to submit here. In Nigeria, gradually we are becoming enlightened to know what to do. Everybody now, like I say, runs to the president to say, I want to contest. No, I will not run to the president to contest because I am not interested in the president. Okay, but what I'm saying is, if you look at on Monday, Osibajo's former principal, around we went to the villa, that say he has informed President that he was going to contest for the 2023 presidential election. As at that time, there have been torrents of reactions, vicissitudes of reactions everywhere. Okay, and by that, if you look at the impact that Tinubu's information created between Monday and now, then Osibajo's camp will naturally be impacted and say, look, the way these things are going, let us. So before you know it, that's exactly why some has to capture this. That pressure man from Osibajo to go the place.
Yeah, because if actually you want to contest, it is now that people should know.
That is it. By now, he will be able to make up his mind to say, okay, look, I want to contest. So that we'll be able to compare and contrast. Nigeria will be able to compare and contrast. Like I read an article yesterday, someone said that Nigeria has grown beyond popularity and riches. He was talking about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that these are the only two things that he has to discredit: popularity and riches. But another school of thought that has to do with the interests of Osibajo's group are looking at this man's competence, this man's understanding of the economy,
Having been with this
having been with the current administration,
yes.
and that the little time he had opportunity, the manner he acted. So if he was that president, probably something better would have happened. So they're now using that one as a yardstick to marketing. And that's exactly what's going on.
But do you think you want to contest against his former godfather?
You see,
Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
when we're talking about national interest, I don't think that factor has anything to go by.
It will not come to play.
Exactly. That is what is a political arm. Now that he has even been the vice president, so I'm not here to campaign for him. To me, in my own sense of judgment, I think he should be the right person to the lab. I'm not here to campaign for him. I don't know.
Osibajo.
Yeah, but we are looking at the national interest right now. National interest. So the idea of whether he will or whatever, of course he should. He's not a man. He should. We're not talking about a personal issue now. We're talking about national issue. And you should also know that the opposition party is waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I was about going to ask you about the opposition party too.
Oh, okay, good. So if the right candidate is not presented, somebody that is not acceptable to the entire country, they're ready to talk. So they will take cognizance of that as well.
All right, now talking about the opposition, there are also people making moves to contest in 2023. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Senate President Ayim Pius Ayim, and some other persons who are not still decided yet whether they will contest or not. But you talk about if APC failed to present a credible candidate, it might be to the advantage of the opposition and PDP. But let's take away credible candidates. Let's assume all of them will be presenting credible candidates. How do you see the contest in 2023 against the backdrop of the failings associated with the current administration?
You see, the opposition party, as it were, should not present spent horses, or you recycle people that don't have anything to offer. If they do that, Nigeria will take decision. I want to believe that this time Nigerians are ready to do the right themselves. Because if they don't take this thing into their hands, they will lose dive. The country will lose dive. So, and the people that are coming up that we're seeing
Yes.
are not the people that Nigerians expect, even from the opposition, for now. They're not. So it will be suicidal for the people that are coming up now to be allowed to contest on the platform of PDP. These are people who have damaged the country. We have their history, we have their records. So what are we saying? We are looking out for patriotic elements who can move this country. And let me tell you, we are in an emergency time. This is not a normal time. This is not a normal time. I'll just sit down on my chair, take tea, and laugh. No. We have crisis on our hands.
We need to salvage the nation.
That's it. Somebody who must have the capacity to salvage the nation is the person we are looking for. And as times are moving,
And is that restricted to only two major political parties, APC and PDP?
for now, yeah, other portfolio parties, maybe they want to eat. When they are hungry, they will just go and start a party. They start going around to collect money and eat. So let us be frank with ourselves. That's not what we're talking about now. So between APC and PDP, as it were, are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
All right, Mr. Tipuju, thank you for that. But let's also expand more on the security situation in the country, as reported by leadership this morning. I'm being joined by Dr. Kabiru Adamu, Managing Director, Beacon Consulting, and as well as security expert. Good morning, Dr. Adamu. Thank you for
Good
joining us.
morning. My pleasure.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. Now, I don't know if you have seen the report of Leadership newspaper this morning. Let me show you the front page of Leadership. ISWAP attacks on the rise, according to Governor Zulum of Borno State. It's crying out that ISWAP attacks is on the rise in that part of the country. Dr. Adamu, let me ask your take. We discussed insecurity last week with you, but let me ask your take from where the governor is coming from. No, let me hear your take, Dr. Adamu.
Okay, thank you. If you go through that report, a part of it was dedicated to a monthly report that my consultancy releases, where we showed the rise in security incidents in the country, and particularly we showed that almost over 70% of those incidents were happening in the northern half of the country. And as far as the Northeast is concerned, we also talked about this increase in attacks by the two terrorist groups, in particular the Islamic State in West Africa province that the governor spoke about. Now, what perhaps I would have loved Governor Zulum, His Excellency, to clarify is what he meant by the two groups controlling the local government. As a professional, that word control could signify a lot of things. And because I've got assets on ground in Borno State, the type of control I think he meant is that between them and the military, there is a cat and mouse game. So it's not the type of control we saw in 2013, where they had their flags, where they have administrators, where they were implementing the Sharia law and basically governing. That is not what we're seeing currently in Abadam and Guzamala local government. However, they are playing a cat and mouse game between them and the military, where the military most times would have presence within the city center and it would dominate there. But then on most locations outside that city center would not be in full control of the military. The terrorists are able to move around, they're able to engage with the public, they're able to have their markets, they're able to organize activity. And of course, they're, like in the case of BU and Damboa that the governor mentioned, for the past 4 or 5 months, almost on a daily basis, they have been able to put up checkpoints and stop commuters from traveling and steal, as well as sometimes abduct some commuters. So that's what we're seeing. And I know the general impression readers take when they see control is that they are governing the location. I don't think that's what the governor meant. I stand to be corrected.
All right, Dr. Adamu, also about the statistics shown out by your center, talking about number of persons killed and the ones abducted. I want to know, how did you aggregate these figures together?
So we use industry standard intelligence collection platforms. In intelligence collection, you have what I call your priorities. And then when you are adopting those priorities, you have the 5 imperatives: who, what, when, where, and who. So once you are able to answer all of these 5 questions, corroborate the information, then you put it in a database. Now, beyond that, there are 2 major sources of intelligence that we use. The one that is called HUMINT, which is human intelligence, and then the one that is called OSINT, open source intelligence. And open source intelligence comes basically on the mainstream media as well as social media. Once we pick it up on that, we subject it to corroboration. Corroboration comes in the form of either one of our trusted sources is aware of it, or we put it across other 14 layers of confirmation. And once it passes at least 50% of that 14 layers, then we add it to our database. So it is that database that we analyze at the end of a period to now produce the report that we've published. There are other components to both the collection and the analysis that we involved in, but those are trade secrets that I will not happily share with you at the moment. But yeah, suffice to say that we use industry standard for collection and for analysis.
Yeah, talking about restriction of sharing that information with me. You already released this report to the public domain. Now I want to know, is it limited to the public domain, or you have also shared the same thing with security agencies for further action?
We have. Unfortunately, they don't usually respond. That's the saddest part of it. We rarely get any response from them. And I think this is what needs to be changed in terms of government approach. We put in a lot of effort, a lot of resources in collecting this, and we share it freely, just for the betterment of our country. Now, I would expect, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, of all the 27 ministries, departments, and agencies in government, we're not aware that any of them has this level of visualization and data appreciation that we're trying to encourage. We will be available to support them in developing that level of data, visualization, like the type that we're doing. So unfortunately, we haven't received the type of response that we've seen from other Nigerians, including the media, from the government.
Well, we have responded by reporting what you actually, what is contained in your report, because if you don't report it, nobody will know your findings. So the media has already done its bit by projecting the figures out according to you.
Exactly. And I must thank and commend the media. This type of publicity would hopefully prompt government to start taking action on some of these things. So I must commend you, the media, really, for responding speedily. We published on late Tuesday, and already you published it on Thursday. So that's really commendable, and I'm really appreciative of that.
All right, Dr. Adamu, before I let you go, now let's look at the conduct of our political office holders. From the beginning of this discussion, you also queried what the governor meant by saying 2 local governments are under Boko Haram ISWAP control, whether there is no more local government administration, no more police, no more state presence. So the governor is not clear about that. Now, also yesterday, when the governor was making these assertions, he also berated the senator representing Borno South, a member of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Ndumi, for actually condemning repentant terrorists. Now I want to ask you, I don't know what kind of game the governor is playing. Should Ndume be sympathetic to repentant Boko Haram who has killed his people, or we should call a spade by bringing them to justice?
Okay. Let me start by saying that, frankly, I believe, just like I think it was either the president or someone high up there in leadership advocated that our leaders need to be taken through the art of public speaking. We witnessed over the last couple of years certain statements coming from political office holders, leadership, that frankly should never have been. In other countries, people who make such statements would be asked to leave their positions because those statements are divisive and all that. So I'm a bit concerned that Senator Indume, distinguished Senator Indume, and the governor, first off, they are from the same state. Secondly, they're in the same party, the ruling party, the APC. And then thirdly, they are both, to an extent, members of the security architecture that we talked. And I will quickly explain what I mean. The governor is the chief executive officer in the state, and as such, is responsible for security in that state. He is the chairman of the State Security Council. Senator Indume, on the other hand, is the chairman of the Senate Committee on Army. So they have various platforms that these leaders can meet and discuss beyond the type of public berating that we saw happen when that Senate committee visited Borno. Irrespective of what the difference is, I believe that there should have been a more private platform where they can discuss the issues. And leaders who are stakeholders, I believe, should not have the type of difference of opinion publicly stated like what we saw, especially when the interest is the same. And what is the interest? Manage and contain insecurity in Borno State. Every other thing is secondary. So when you have such public spat, what are the technical issues at stake as a professional? I am supportive of any peace-building effort that would assist the return of peace in Borno. I also understand that every peace-building effort should have two components: the kinetic component, which is mainly military, as well as the non-kinetic component. Now, we know that in the country, we have a counter-terrorism strategy. That counter-terrorism strategy has these two components, the kinetic and the non-kinetic one. So it beats me that the chairman of the Senate Committee on the Army does not realize this. Where was he when Operation Safe Corridor was funded? Who is driving the Operation Safe Corridor? It's the military. It's the chairman of the Senate Committee. Operation Safe Corridors clearly talks about attending to repentant terrorism. So again, why come public and make such statements when, as the chairman of the Senate Committee on the Army, you've got both legislative and oversight capability to have checked this during the budget process, as well as during your oversight functions with the military arm that you are overseeing. So again, I go back to my opening statement that some of our leaders need to be taken through the art of public speaking. Some statements coming from them, frankly, are not worth it, especially when they have the authority to do this thing, and then they come and just make political statements, and in reality, they are not acting with the authority and power that they have.
All right, Dr. Kabiru, I have your report with me, but I've not gotten the time to read from beginning to the end. So I don't know whether inside that report, you also identify the role of our security agencies in aiding the non-state actors to kill Nigerians, because this figure is very, very big. Over 8,000 people were killed by non-state actors. Now, if you recall, just last week, we saw a report about another report of the Auditor General of the Federation saying humongous number of arms missing from police armory. We have also seen oftentimes in the news where custom officers intercepted arms catch coming into the country, but we don't see people being arraigned before the court. And these arms still disappear and get into the wrong hands. So I don't know whether this report also identifies the role of security agencies in aiding non-state actors by fomenting or unleashing terror on Nigeria.
So this particular report did not delve into that particular aspect. However, in our database, we have the data of the killings by security agencies, what we call security forces, the killings of Nigerians. And it's shocking when we did a heat mapping. Just if you go through the report, you see one aspect that we call heat mapping. When we did a heat mapping of the deaths by non-state actors and another heat mapping of the deaths by security forces, it was alarming. frankly. So again, I think there is that need for the coordinating element within the national security architecture to look closely at the ethos of the functions of these security organizations. They cannot be serving Nigerians and then killing Nigerians. Now that requires an improvement in their equipment repository. It requires an improvement in their training. It requires an improvement in their psychological disposition towards managing certain conflicts. It's not every conflict that you deploy the military or you deploy weapons. There are certain conflicts that a mere meeting between the two sides and then promoting, discussion, dialogue, as well as promoting peace-building platforms would solve. Unfortunately, that we're not seeing enough of that, and that takes me to the next point: coordination between the federal and state as well as local governments that are non-existent. Some of these challenges are challenges that can be better managed at the state level. Now, the state governors usually lie back and say, well, security is in the exclusive list. But I'm not aware that one governor has ever rejected the security vote that he or she is being given. So it's convenient for them to say we don't have, authority to, to manage security, but they also have enjoyed this security vote. We need to see better coordination between the federal and state governments so that these gaps, these killings that I'm talking about would reduce. Governors want the military to remain in their state. I say this with all sense of responsibility. You are witness to the fact that just last week, the governor from the Southwest, who incidentally is the senior advocate of Nigeria, asked that the military that was being withdrawn from the state be not withdrawn. So it beats me that, given the fact that we are tenets of democratic traditions, we still don't understand that little things like that actually affect our democracy and contribute to the killing of Nigerians. The more we have the military on the street, the more we have the military engaging with civilians, the more the likelihood of these types of killings and this type of death. Taking the military out from our streets, returning them back to the barrack would reduce this heavy-handedness and unfortunate killings that have been attributed to our security forces.
All right. Many thanks to you, Dr. Kabiru Adamu, Managing Director of Beacon Consulting Limited, and as well a security expert based here in Abuja, for your invaluable insights this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, and I must thank you for this role that you play in promoting this type of effort and ensuring that it stays on the front burner of our national discourse.
Yeah, Dr. Adamu, insecurity anywhere in the parts of the country, insecurity everywhere.
Thank you very much, and enjoy your day.
Thank you. That has been Dr. Kabiru Adamu, a security expert. Now, he brought out one salient point, that whenever the drill is kind of undertaken, free of charge, take the report to government to act, they don't act. You can imagine.
Yeah, I think that's where the problem lies also. Security is everybody's
business. Yes.
And private security firms are more committed, more insightful, because this is what they do to sustain their reputation. They give their best. And when this best is submitted to the government will submit it to their own bureaucracy, and if what the content is not something that's of their interest, they will get it seen. Now let me give you a typical example of Israel. You see, all these security issues, the security hardware production, intelligence, and are carried out by private security firms. They are researchers. That is like when Dr. Adamu was talking, my mind went to Israel straight away. They are sustained by different private security firms. Everybody working, developing, trying to put this together and make sure that the state is protected. And once a private firm submits a report to the government of Israel, they act on it immediately. They go and design a hardware, explain what this hardware can do, and the government will automatically implement it. And today they are on top.
It's quite hard wrenching that somebody
Honestly.
offer to help save my life, and I will not want to listen.
Exactly. But and again, let me also tell you, you pointed out, you were asking Dr. Kelu about Senator Ali Udume's comments.
Yes.
You see, I don't think,
was not happy.
you see, I don't think the time we are in now is a time to pamper the terrorists.
That's your own opinion too, like in doing.
The havoc they have wreaked, the wanton destruction, the human casualty as a result of their activities. You see, you are keeping them that they have repented. You are feeding them. The other day,
you know their mind.
You don't even know their mind. The other day, they even protested to have not allowed them to kill their own cow. They say somebody that came to kill cow for them is an infidel. And they protest it was.
So they enjoy such freedom.
Yes.
And luxury.
That is it. So what they're talking. Now, those families that were wrecked, the orphans, the widows, what is the government doing for them? Lives lost. What is the government doing?
Crisis.
So the government has nothing to offer to those people. Then the people that were responsible for that calamity, then you assemble them and say that they are affected.
All right, many thanks to you. Atekojo Samson, Usman, public affairs analyst, lawyer, and journalist with Daily Post newspaper here in Abuja. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
And we also hope to see more of you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Atekojo Samson Usman is an Abuja-based lawyer, public affairs analyst, and journalist with Daily Post. On this note, we've come to the end of Inside Nigeria for this morning. Thank you for being with us from the hour of 10 to this moment. Make it with us tomorrow for another edition, because the last edition of Inside Nigeria for the week. My name is William Odi Gladibo. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.